Hello, hello. In today's episode, we're going to be reading a bedtime story, but you've heard all of the stories before. So today we're going to create a unique, brand new story using the Once Upon a Time game. The rules will be I will select 2 cards from the ending card deck in secret and try to steer the story into one of 2 directions. I'll have 6 cards here to choose from, and I will allow myself 3 passes. Now, if I use a pass, all cards from the hand will be discarded. I'll draw a new set of 6 cards, and I have to use at least 1 card from that deck before I'm allowed to pass again. So hopefully I can steer the story to a satisfying conclusion. Wish me luck. Okay, we have 2 different story ending cards here, and that gives me some options. Alright. Hopefully these cards can help me get there. Okay. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful horse that lived in the village. And was stolen away. And lured using food into so the food was a lure, bringing him down some stairs into the dungeon of a nearby tower. And as time was passing, the beautiful horse thought that it would never be found until one day a very strong prince comes to the tower to rescue the horse, because of course the village called out and missed their beloved horse, and the prince answered their summons, and he had made a plan on how he was going to rescue the horse. For you see, the prince has a magic ring that makes him very wise. Which, of course, if he wants to one day wear the crown, being wise is very important. Now, in order to free the horse, fighting ensues with the evil monster that lured the horse away. But little did the poor prince know that the monster was friends with the giants. So the giants came down from the heavens to help their friend the monster, and they bring with them poisoned food from their kitchen. And they're trying to feed the horse yet again and poison the beautiful horse. However, the horse was able to escape into the garden of the tower. And while the giants were arguing amongst themselves over who let the horse slip past them, pass. The king sends out guards from the palace to come help the prince in the fight. Now the wise prince finds a cave entrance in the dungeon, which leads through the mountain where he then follows a river and finds a beggar and their child living in a ruined cottage. Pass. I was doing well for a while there. Now this ruined cottage at the end of the river is also in a swamp, and that beggar was cursed because they had found some treasure that did not belong to them, and that meant that all of their clothing would always look like rags, even if they're wearing the most splendid clothing. Now, while this made the prince sad, he didn't have time at the moment to help these poor people, but he promised to return once he finished his original quest. And on his way back to the tower's garden to find the horse, he came upon a sleeping dragon. Now the wise prince saw the sleeping dragon and knows never to wake a dragon. So So he tiptoes around the dragon, leaving it to sleep in peace. And by doing so, the dragon transforms into a fairy, which grants the prince a wish. So he decides to wish that the stranded, beautiful horse in the garden of the tower can fly. So immediately that horse becomes a Pegasus. Beautiful angelic wings spring from his back. The horse neighs and takes off into the sky, out of reach of the giants and the monster that stole away the horse. So the horse comes back to the kingdom that he's from, and the prince makes it back as well. That very same night, which proves that a heart that is brave and true will always triumph in the end. That was a story that had some twists and turns, but we sort of got there in the end. This was fun and very difficult, but I did it in less than 3 passes, so that's pretty good. What do you think? Do we have time for one more bedtime story? Let's see what we come up with. So the other one was, and his mother was delighted with such an unusual gift. So we didn't get to that one. Our next 2 endings are... Okay. A bit of a theme between the 2, which makes it tricky, but we'll see what happens. Oops. Okay. Once upon a time, there was a queen who had a deep, dark secret. For you see, she was actually a good witch in disguise, and every now and then, under the full moon, she would bring out her cauldron and brew up a lucky potion. Now one day, she didn't have the right tree bark to make the lucky potion, and she tried to substitute with a different tree bark, but unfortunately that did, instead of making her lucky, make her go a little crazy, which is very sad. And with her, fragile mental state, she became more and more frightened and ran away into the woods and got lost. She crossed over the magic wall that is on the far side of the forest, and no one ever returns from the wall once they've crossed it. So now the sad king was despondent, for you see he has a beautiful daughter, a princess, and he needed a new queen for his kingdom. Now he finds someone who he could get along with, and although the queen could never be replaced, he did find someone to be a stepmother to the princess. Now the stepmother was very brave and wanted to prove herself to her new stepdaughter and really make the palace feel like a home, the way the queen had. So she decided to demonstrate her capabilities by entering a contest. Now the contest entailed pass. The contest entailed entering the forest and going on a journey to find the tiny wolf, which was hidden away by the church. So she enters into the forest. On her quest, she meets a pass. On her quest, she meets a frog that can talk. So she asks the frog if they've seen the tiny wolf that's been hidden away in the forest. And the frog says, yes, of course. that's the work of the witch, who lives just up the road. But beware, because there is a sleeping trap. So the frog lets her know that anyone that approaches the witch's hut falls under the sleeping trap. So she needs to find a way to get around the trap or set it up so that she does not succumb to it. So she thanks the frog for his wisdom and puts on a disguise. Pass. Oh no. And the disguise she chooses is that of an ugly old person. That as the disguised stepmother approaches, she calls out and asks for the gift of transformation so that the witch does not set off the sleeping trap and instead tricks the witch into letting her pass through. The idea being the trap is only to stop people from finding the tiny wolf. But anyone who wants a, spell, who's there to do business with the witch, would be allowed through. Luckily, her ruse works, and she's able to go up the steps into the hut without the trap going off. She decides to offer up her own firstborn child to the witch in exchange for the tiny wolf that was hidden away, and the witch is very happy with this exchange and agrees. So she gives the tiny wolf to the stepmother, who's able to walk back to the palace and show the king that she was successfully able to complete her quest. And the thing is, the stepmother cannot have children, so she actually was able to fool the witch with her cleverness, and thus the king was happy to crown the stepmother as the new queen. And it just shows that stepmothers aren't always what they seem. I guess that kind of works. We usually think stepmothers are evil, but this one was clever and just wanted to be a good wife, mother, and queen. How nice. I hope you enjoyed these 2 bedtime stories. Let me know if you want more bedtime stories, and perhaps I can keep this going as a series. Let's look at all of these story ending cards that we never got to. The the other one was, and when they died, they passed it on to their children. So I did sort of have a theme of like parenthood. So when the queen died in the story, I still wasn't sure which way I was going until I picked up the stepmother card and was like, well, I just have to go for it and see what happens. It kind of worked. Well, hopefully you have been lulled to sleep. And if not, like I said, let me know in the comments if you want me to do more of this style, or if you'd like to see me go back to playing classic games. Should I do more D&D stuff? Let me know what you'd like to see. Thank you so much, patrons. Your support means a lot. It's very touching. And yeah, thank you. And of course, sweet dreams.